Okay, guys, so if you like the content, give it a thumbs up, comment, and subscribe for the sake of the algorithm. But today's video, I'm going to look at the top lifters from 2010. So this is off Open Powerlifting, which has the most accurate database of all the meets, all the numbers, all the lifters, everything. Like they have everything in here pretty much. This is 99% accurate as far as the numbers out there over the last few years. But we're going to go back to 2010 and we're going to look at who the top guys were. So obviously, you can see the screen here. And the number one lifter in the entire world in the year of 2010 was Konstantin Konstantinov. So Konstantin was 32 years old at the time, 2 years older than I am now, about 289 pounds, and he had a 717 squat, a 529 bench, and a 926 deadlift. So 2171 total, which is what Larry Wheels hit when he broke the 242 world record. So this was a 556 Wilks. Larry Wheels just did it about 40 pounds lighter, 45 really. So Constantine now, he's not even alive, but I think it was because he was stabbed from what I heard. He was working as security and he was stabbed is kind of the backstories. So he was one of the more notable lifters. I actually had a conversation with him over Instagram once because I think he passed away a few years ago, it was two or three. But he was the number one guy. And this, I believe, was his best meet. Let's take a look. So Konstantin Konstantinovs. So he did a lot of deadlift only towards the end of his career, as you can see here. But his best total was indeed that meet. So that was his best total in 2010. Let's go back to the other numbers. Dan Kovacs. So Dan Kovacs 2125 total. That was number two for the entire year. 825 deadlift, 635 bench, 665 squat. He was 40 years old. Now Dan Kovacs, I honestly don't even remember him. Like that's how crazy this is. So you're going back a little over a decade. I don't even know. Like I feel like I've heard of the name Dan Kovacs, but I don't remember him. So let's take a look. So Dan Kovacs is still competing actually to this day at 51 years old. He is still competing full power. He's totaling about 1915, it looks like, which is pretty crazy. So he's obviously not quite doing what he used to be doing. His numbers have gone down a little bit, which is going to be expected a decade later, when you're 40 compared to 50. But now he's still going, which is pretty remarkable. Let's go to some of these other guys. Beau Moore. Beau Moore was a guy who was at the Animal Cage every year. He put on a show. So he was 44 at the time, probably 56 now it looks like. 772 squat, 584 bench, 804 deadlift. So the first thing that stands out to me here in all honesty, this is by the way without wraps, this is sleeves. Let's take a look at this. Beau Moore, hold on, having some technical difficulties. There we go. Let's go back here. Beau Moore has the highest squat, 772. That is, if you look at the top 20 here, that's the highest raw squat period. And what's crazy is that's the number I hit in 2017. So that goes to show the evolution of the sport because 772 is a serious squat, but it wasn't like anything remarkable at the time I did it. There were a bunch of guys hitting over 800. But if I'd done 772 in 2010, it would have been the best squat out of the top 20 Wilks, which is crazy. But that just shows the evolution. Like it just keeps getting crazier and crazier with the numbers. Um, so that's pretty wild. 926 deadlift would still be insanely elite. But then let's look at the rest of the guys. And they're all like in the sevens and eights. So really Constantine was an outlier with his deadlift. And all these other guys were like high sixes, low sevens. You had a couple eights, 825, 804, but really the deadlifts weren't anything too crazy compared to what they're at now. So again, it just shows the evolution of the sport. And some other significant things that stand out here. We got Mike Tashir, who is known for his reactive training systems, kind of was a pioneer with the auto regulation RP method. And he I believe is a lifetime natural from what we hear. 755 squat, 474 bench, 816 deadlift. He was number 6. Some of these other guys I've heard of, Ryan Selly, David Ricks, Arnold Coleman, I have never heard of. But it's even kind of crazy there because 1818 total, 1796, like these were in the top freaking 10 of the entire world at that point. And now it's like, things have changed so much. So to have any, I mean, have you guys even heard of these guys? A lot of them? Like I've heard of a lot of these guys, Jesse Callum, Tony Conyers, I've heard of them, but I'm curious, like today's lifters, have you guys heard of many of these guys? I'm sure y'all have heard of Konstantinov. Most of you have probably heard of Mike Tashir. But like some of these other guys, Jeremy Hamilton and Jay Nera, they were like very good lifters. They were very good lifters who I remember competing with. Jeremy Hamilton, let's go over here. I gotta get myself out of the way. This is the one bad thing about Loom. But Jeremy Hamilton, 220, 623 squat, 463 bench, 727 deadlift. Jay Nera, 705 deadlift, 458 bench, and 683 squat. I've competed with these guys. Those are good numbers, but they did way better a few years later, and these were still like almost top 10 numbers. What's a really interesting one here you're going to like? Greg Doucette. So was this Greg's best ever meet? Greg was a 198 competitor, 562 squat, 503 bench, 678 deadlift for a 1743 total, which got him 15th in the world at that point for the entire year. And this is across all weight classes. But let's take a look actually at Greg's competition history. So he did a lot of push-pull later in his career. But it looks like, yeah, it looks like that was maybe his best total. So that was indeed 2010 was Doucette's best total, 562. He squatted 573 about 3 years later. That was his best ever squat. Bench 518. That was his best ever bench, it looks like. And then deadlift. Looks like he tried for 694 a few times, missed 733 at this meet. So Greg Doucette's best meet was definitely 2010, where he was ranked 15th in the world, 1743 total. Not bad numbers at all, but obviously they wouldn't even scratch the surface of the top guys now, to kind of put things into perspective. Because we fast forward, let's even fast forward 10 years to keep things more accurate. So the top Wilks here was 556. 556. Let's go where 556 is now. 556 Wilks puts you at 22nd. So 10 years later, the top Wilks of 556 is 22nd overall. Freaking crazy. So that goes to show, again, how far the sport has come. And you see some of these other guys now, whereas we had the highest deadlift at 926, the highest deadlift at this time was Jamal Browner at 972, 71. And the squat, another thing, like 772 was the top squat. Now look at this. We got guys 804, 871, 804, 848, 882, 903, 794, 772. This was the top squat. And now there's like 15 guys with a squat higher than that. So again, it just shows the evolution. Like, it's crazy how far things come. Let's go ahead, 2022. 556 Wilks. That would bump you up to, so then you're 15th-ish, 15th in that range. And again, like the bar just keeps getting raised higher and higher. So it's kind of crazy to see. 556 Wilks compared to now John Hack with a 622 Wilks. This makes you wonder, in another 10 years, will we be seeing around a 700 Wilks? I mean, it's very possible. I know they go off dots now, but it's kind of wild to see. So it's kind of like your time in the spotlight, too, is very fleeting. You see these crazy numbers, and it's just not, they're not going to be there forever, because there's going to be other guys who come along and smash all those numbers, and the numbers are just going to keep getting crazier and crazier. So, when you're in the moment, you don't often realize, like, my time is limited in the spotlight, but it really is, because there's always other guys who come along and do bigger and better things, and we're seeing that here. You're seeing the progression and how crazy it is, and how much higher the numbers have gotten. So that's kind of cool to see, but at the same time, it's humbling, because you only have so much time in spotlight. But if you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe for the sake of the algorithm. I appreciate you watching.